Manchester United ready to break transfer record on Saul Niguez to replace Paul Pogba this summer. Jude Bellingham to snub Manchester United. Coutinho to Manchester United, and Inter Milan to reject Alexis Sanchez. Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and in today's video we're going to be covering the latest Manchester United news, the latest transfer news surrounding Manchester United that has come out today, starting with the Saul Niguez story. The reports that Manchester United put a club record-breaking bid of £135 million in for the 25-year-old Spanish midfielder who plays for Athletico Madrid. Now Saul, he's a great midfielder, he's been well known over the last few years as one of the best midfield prospects coming up. He's only 25, you know, he'll be 25 at the start of next season. He can play centre mid, CDM. He's got the third most tackles in La Liga with 64 tackles this season. So as we know, he's got a very strong defensive output, and Manchester United are lacking a midfielder with a strong defensive output since Herrera left. He's also won 207 duels this season, which is the 5th most in La Liga, amongst the 8th most aerial duels in La Liga this season, and the 8th most interceptions at 40 interceptions this season in La Liga. So I can see why Manchester United are in for Saul Niguez. I know he's been kind of linked to us every summer, every now and then, because he's a player that's always linked to big teams, because, you know, he's 25, he's one of the best midfielders in the world, he's the potential to maybe be the best midfielder in the world, so he's always kind of linked around, you know, and the reports are saying that we're going to spend £135 million on him, which is his buyout clause at Athletico Madrid. But before I get into the Saul Niguez story, please take 2 seconds to hit that like button and then subscribe down to Alice Talks Football so you don't miss daily football content from me. I'm uploading every day Manchester United transfer news and more on the channel, so subscribe so you don't miss that, as it means a lot. So Saul is literally one of the best midfielders in the world. You know, he's had a great season, he's been consistent over the last 3 or 4 years. He's young, so I can see why £135 million, why someone would spend that on him if they were in desperate need, if they're going to lose their star midfielder in Paul Pogba, and why we spend that much money on him. But that is a lot of money to be spending on Saul. Now I think he's a £100 million player, but, you know, considering we're spending £130 million on Sancho, are we really going to whip out the same amount of Saul in the same transfer window? So it was the Daily Star that reported this, so we can't really get our hopes up. I know a lot of you want Saul, I'd love to see Saul, but this is what the Daily Star did report this, and the Daily Star, you know, they're not the best kind of outlook to listen to in terms of transfer reports and news. They're never really that reliable. If it was like Fabrizio Romano, Simon Stone, BBC, or even Sky Sports, I'd probably start properly listening into it, but for now, like, it's not the most reliable source. But they're saying we're going to trigger his £135 million buyout clause. Now if Paul Pogba leaves, then, you know, I could see that happening. However, this is Manchester United, this is the Glazers. Are we really going to spend £130 million on Sancho, then £130 million on Saul in the same window, especially when the transfer window is so uncertain at the moment with this whole coronavirus pandemic going on? We also have to remember that Ole made it pretty clear after the last game, and reports have made it quite clear that Pogba is being forced to stay at Manchester United, and they're going to trigger the extension in his contract. So Pogba will be staying another year at Manchester United. And if Pogba is here next season, there's no way we're going to buy Saul in the summer. You know, it looks like Pogba's going to leave. I mean, it looks like Pogba's going to stay, and I think he's going to stay. Ole himself seems pretty confident that, you know, Pogba's going to be a Manchester United player next season, so I can't really see us getting Saul this summer, especially with the whole coronavirus pandemic going on as well, and that amount of money. If Pogba looks most likely to stay, you know, those reports could heat up in a few days, there could be more on it, but if Pogba leaves, then, you know, I do see us looking at Saul as an option. However, I see Man United maybe going for a more cheaper alternative, because it's Ed Woodward on the board, and because we really need a CDM more than a box-to-box, because we're playing the 4-2-3-1 system, so we might be looking at Sicario and Partey as well. Let me know in the comment section down below, would you rather have Saul, or is there like a cheaper alternative midfielder you'd rather have playing the CDM role next season? The Daily Mail and Sky Sports also reported this. Well, they said there was a report about it, so they sort of clicked onto the story. They haven't come up with new information yet themselves, so it's really just what the Daily Star are saying. So for me, I wouldn't believe it just yet. I wouldn't believe the Daily Star. I think Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are 100% interested in Saul. I think if we lost Pogba, they would be willing to spend £135 million on Saul. He's a great top-class midfielder. You know, we need a midfielder desperately. But I think Sancho's a #1 priority, followed by Grealish, and I very highly doubt that it's Manchester United to get Sancho, Grealish and Saul in the same transfer window. I'd love us to, but I don't think we'd spend like over £300 million, even if we're going to get £100 million for Pogba. I don't quite believe it yet, but I do think if somehow Sancho fell through and we sold Pogba, then Saul to United is quite likely, but Right now, not enough on it, unfortunately. So the Evening Standard reported a few things, and the first thing they reported that Jude Bellingham is set to snub Manchester United for Borussia Dortmund. Now, this isn't the first time we've heard this. We know that Bellingham follows Dortmund and not Manchester United, and that we've heard reports that his head's turned more towards Dortmund because obviously what Jadon Sancho's done. And the report goes in to say that Jude Bellingham thinks he'll get more game time and more opportunity in the first team at Dortmund, while at Manchester United he thinks he'll be playing with the youth ranks, which some could argue with a fair point. However, I've got to say with Ole this season, he has given young players a chance, apart from Angel Gomez, who I don't think he's given enough chances to. You know, he's given Chong a fair running in, especially because he's not been the best when he's played, apart from his last 2 games where he was decent. You know, I think he's got 2 assists in his last 2 games. You know, he's given Williams a lot of chances, and Williams shone to that. He's given Greenwood a lot of chances, and with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you're a young player and you take your chance, you're going to play again. Think of Greenwood, think of Williams, how much they played. They were not expecting to play this much this season, especially Williams. So, you know, with Bellingham's thinking he'll get more game time at Dortmund, some could argue he's right because obviously what happened with Sanchez, but I do think Ole is very good at giving young players a chance. However, I guess Bundesliga for me, I think is an easier league, and as a young player, maybe it's a better league to step into, it's a little bit easier. And maybe he just wants to follow Sancho, but I still think this is a 50-50 with Bellingham. I think his head's leaning more towards Dortmund, but we just, as I've said before, we don't know what's going to happen this transfer window with the whole coronavirus pandemic going on. And does he want to leave his country? It's not often that English players leave their own country. But you know what, if he could be like Sancho and he could think my career, and that's what he thinks is best for his career. Now, they also reported that Manchester United and Spurs are looking into Coutinho. They've shown an interest in Coutinho. It's not like we've made a bid for him or anything, we've just shown an interest in Coutinho. I mean, it would surprise me if Manchester United show a little interest in Coutinho. We know that he went to Barcelona for a hefty sum, wasn't the best, so he's been shipped out on loan to Bayern Munich. He's been pretty good at Bayern Munich, but they don't want to spend above £100 million on him, which is, you know, fair enough. And Barcelona want to sell him for maybe £100 million. He's got no place at Bayern Munich and no place at Barcelona next year, so, you know, he's a player to buy. However, he's going to cost a lot, because obviously Barcelona spent so much on him, he's going to cost over £100 million. Now, I think we'll be interested in him, but I think, you know, we want Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho is our #1 choice. I cannot see us getting him or going for him unless we lose Jadon Sancho. And I still think we'd be overpaying for Coutinho. Plus, would he want to come with us with his Liverpool loyalties? Who knows? There's not very strong links in it. I think we might have a quick look at him as a Sancho alternative, although he doesn't really play on the right. But I think we'll just go all out for Sancho. And I don't know if Coutinho would come to Manchester United. You never know, he could revive his career at Barcelona. But it is set that Bayern and Barcelona don't want him, and it is for sale next summer. And the final report is that Alexis Sanchez will not be at Inter Milan next season, which is no surprise to me. He's made 2 starts in the Serie A. You know, he's been filled with injuries, he's had so many injury problems. He's got massive wage demands. It's no surprise that Inter Milan don't want him, which means Ole's going to be done with Alexis Sanchez next season, and he's just going to be taking like £500 a week at the club to be sitting on the bench. So Ole's got to deal with Alexis Sanchez next season. I'm pretty sure he'll be at Man Utd next season, but we'll see if we can ship him out on loan somewhere. That is no surprise to me. Thank you for watching Alice Talks Football. This video was just covering all the latest daily news about Manchester United today. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on Saul Niguez. Is there someone else you'd rather sign for the midfield? Any news stories that came out today that I missed? Any questions? Also, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe down below, share this video. Thanks for watching, comment video suggestions. See you next time.